Batch JW here, coming to you. Hopefully everybody's having a decent morning. Maybe you're tuned in late at night, or maybe you're tuned in the afternoon. So anyway, let's get to some comments here, reading, and we got since the last show and things that we talked about also. Don't worry, we got a big revolver to talk about, big old end frame, big bore, big grips. So we got that going on, and we got something else interesting to talk about, and hopefully you are watching and listening. I got a good buddy of mine from back home that moved back out to Tennessee. You know who you are, and we're going to talk about something because we got to talking on the phone about an interesting subject about the old grips, and he mentioned something that was really funny, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that. So I wanted to kind of bring that up in this time around. So let's get some comments going. The comments are read in no particular order. Again, if we skipped your comment, you're either a couple of things. You're either too late to comment by the time we tape this, or for some reason the system pulled it, in which it does. I'm sorry if it did. It's not my doing. It just does it. So I do apologize, or your comment may just not have been PG. So anyway, we're not, I mean, we kind of push limits to PG-13, but rated R maybe not. Okay, anyway, you know why? Because my family watches this stuff. All right. Justin Booth, a true classic 1911, never goes out of style. Words of truth. I love the old classic. I can't get away from that. It's got to, if I was going to have a 1911, it's got to be just the plain Jane one. There's something about that. I got to have that one. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, the Scottish American. It was my honor to help one great friend indeed. Still my honor to keep in touch with Mrs. Holster to help any way I can. I appreciate it, brother. All your friendship, support helped me become a citizen. Proud to be an American. Proud to have done it the right way, and to still have you as a family. Sorry, I need glasses. I keep saying that, right? The Crazy Scotsman, now the Scottish American, became a citizen. We absolutely love having somebody like him because he loves the values of America and understands that. So, you know, that's the kind of people we want, and we definitely welcome him in open arms. He is a great patriot. Now we have Lion Quest Fitness here with a response. Glad to have you as a patriotic citizen and brother. And that's right. And we think, you know what, and the Crazy Scotsman, I'll tell you something, man. I tell you, when Mr. Holster, when we all miss Mr. Holster, he was just, he was part of so many of our lives right here through that screen. And, you know, we do. And he went out of his way to really go that extra mile for him. I mean, he really helped out, and he helped out a lot of people. We've lost a lot of awesome tubers here, and it really bums you out when you start realizing, because we have a circle here, and a lot of us, and I got started in this, and I got welcomed in really with open arms, and we are just a small circle of people here. And I remember the guy that really got my channel out there was 504 Dirt Dart. I believe that's the way that he used to spell his channel name. You know, I remember all these guys. 504 Dirt Dart, the gun enthusiast from Texas. He's still around. I know he's just been busy at making videos. There was, and I can't seem to find his channel anymore. New Mexico Sharpshooter, he was out there. There was so many people. PR Veteran, there was a lot of them, and you could rattle on so many that have just disappeared. So, all right, Stephen. I'm not gonna butcher your last name, Stephen. I do apologize. So I'm gonna call you Stephen K. So I'm sorry. I just don't want to butcher your last name. Great Saturday morning video. I followed your channel for years. I miss Scott, aka Mr. Holster, as well. Your channel is why I carry a government-sized 1911 and 45 ACP. My current carry gun is Springfield Armory stainless mil-spec and 45 ACP. SA makes a fantastic 1911. Keep up the great content. Thank you. We do appreciate that, Stephen. And yes, Springfield Armory does and now people always, now don't forget, Springfield Armory was there in the beginning. They did make them in World War One. They were making them. Probably not the same company anymore, but you know, in fact, I think so if you have like I forget when it changed hands or whatnot. Like the same thing like with Henry. Henry is not the same as Henry Taylor's company. So the shirt maker. Slimfire 54, awesome collector's radio discussion on the Colt 1911. I have the same one purchased in February 2020, and you're right, they've gone up a great deal. I think Wilson mags are great, and so is Ballistol. I've used Renaissance wax in my revolvers, and it looks great. That's a nice holster you made, JW, and thanks for the video, Slim. Thank you, I appreciate that, Slim. I know all of you usuals are definitely here commenting. And on the Renaissance wax, a big shout out to Danger Man, because your comment's next. I wouldn't have bought it unless like you guys, it's really cool because we interact and everything, and I wouldn't have bought it if you hadn't mentioned it. I really wouldn't have. This stuff is not cheap. I kind of would have passed that off, but because you had mentioned it, we checked it out. I'm glad I did, because it works. And that kind of goes to say, I mean, sometimes you have to pay for something good that works, especially when it comes to stuff like that. All right, now we're going to contradict it with your comment. My first 1911 was a Chinese Norinco, basically a GI Colt with better sights. The bluing was a little rough, but after a break-in period, it ran great. I was just getting into firearms back then. It was my second handgun ever purchased. Paid $300 for it in 1992, and actually that was a good price. That was a heavy price, because I know in '92 when I had a few bucks from my father, man, I went to town. I wish I still had it. It's a testament to John Browning's design genius, and even cheap 1911s will work great. I always laugh when people gripe about how they rattle, kind of like the AK. And when they are loose, they are reliable, and that is very true. I've heard that a lot. People, that 1911, that sucker rattles and all that. But I tell you what, it doesn't jam up on me. Okay, even a Wilson Combat has a little bit of play. I'm not saying it's a rattle trap, but yeah, it's got a little bit of play. Why? It needs that to work reliably. So, I mean, look, you can. I'm not bashing them. Okay, Glock guys. Okay, I do like Glocks. In fact, we got some Glock videos coming up. You hold the Glock up, you can see daylight through the frame and slide. Okay. And those things aren't infamous for jamming up, unless if you leave them stock, they work. So we just to leak that video out, we got a couple of really cool Glock videos coming up. I know some people are not into it, but I like the old vintage ones, and we definitely got some of those coming out for you. All right, David Jones, great guy, great collection, great videos, makes for a great Saturday. Thank you, and you're welcome, David. We appreciate the comment and everything. Okay. All right, Hobson Led. Hobson Led, I've been following that guy forever. Does a lot of beer reviews and funny stuff. I mean, you never know what you're going to get out of him. Lately, he's been doing videos with the donkey in the background. It's been great. And he says, damn, I miss mine now. And we're talking about the 1911. He had a really nice 1911. I know, I'm pouring salt in the wound, right, Scott? Steven? All right. Jonah, Colt 45. Hey, that guy's probably likes the old Colt, right? Just a wild guess. I bought a newer Colt 1911 Classic. It came with a Checkmate magazine. Okay, yeah, so that's the other thing too on the magazines. In fact, this is mine from one of them, I think. I can't remember now which magazine this is. It might be that one. It does. This one has an M on the corner there. I don't know if you can see that. And I know all these little indications mean, I mean, because they're not making their own mags. These are getting sourced out somewhere else, and they're just roll stamping their plates in there. Oh yeah, so they roll stamp that, but they don't roll stamp their slides anymore. I'm telling you, Colt, you're gonna lose my business. You keep doing that. stick with your older ones so you actually roll stamp them right. Joe P, 600 for original 1911 grips. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that last time. Those old 50s grips. Yeah, on eBay. And I said too, either a couple of things happen. Either somebody actually bought those, which is very well possible, okay? Now, I'm a cheap collector. Everybody knows that. The reason I'm a cheap collector, I ain't got the money. So I always got to buy something that's either like I just happen to step in the right poo on the right day and get it for a steal, or I got to buy a flawed one, or one that maybe the collector, it's just not, they don't want it because it's got a couple scratches on it, okay? I mean, and that's just me, because a lot of times it's just an itch I got to scratch, and it's fine. You know what? It's fine for me, you know. I can't go out and afford a $3,500 World War II 1911, you know, like in today's market. So I either got to trade for them or whatnot, or buy a T-sauce like this for $400, and you know what? There you go. So, or that person just realized that maybe I'm gonna get laughed at, and I should take these off the damn site. So. And I actually responded because I looked for it later. The listing's gone, but I got a picture of it. You know what? I don't think you're going to be able to see it because it's a picture on the phone, and I'm going to try to show you. I don't know. I did take a picture of the listing. That's how funny that was. So anyway, okay, we got all the comments read. I know those of you that are still with us. Okay, we got all the comments read. So we're going to shut this down. We got some cool 1911 grips to talk about, and we'll get to that. This here that we got featured is a really neat revolver. I have not pulled this out a whole lot, which I actually feel bad for. And it's covered in ballistol in there, but look at those chambers. Oh boy, you gotta love it. What is this? Okay, it's an end frame. It's a 4-inch barrel. It's got big old stocks on it, grips. It's a Smith & Wesson, if you hadn't guessed. My favorite maker of revolver is a Smith. I'm a Smith guy. Little secret there. I love Smith & Wessons. I think they're the best on the market as far as a revolver goes. Not knocking Ruger, because I tell you, you got a Ruger Blackhawk, Red Hawk. I actually still kind of interested in getting a Red Hawk Alaskan in 44 Magnum. Just because they're just tanks. I mean, you know, they just survive. But no, this one is a beauty. This is a Model 25, Smith & Wesson Model 25-5, I believe it is. Yeah, I can't remember the dash number. What it means is the 25-5, and there's other ones too. That there's even a 3 that's a commemorative one. It's in 45 Colt. The other, most of them are in 45 ACP. You shoot them with moon clips, or you can get auto rim casings. And a buddy of mine that loves the Model 25s, he has a ton of auto rim casings. That's what he shoots most of his older ones in. So this one I got from him. I was able to con him and letting it go. So I picked it up from him, and of course he gave me a really smoking deal on it, and that's why I was able to pick it up. And it had a few flaws on it, or a scratch. I think there was a scratch right around here that I actually touched up with some bluing. That it went away, so I don't care. I mean, but then I'm just gonna shoot it anyway. So as long as it doesn't look like it's been dragged behind a truck, I'm fine with it. So. But yeah, big old end frame, nice wide hammer there. Gotta love that, in 45 Colt. Now the stocks I got on it are, which we talked about. These are actually made in Thailand. They made them over there. I'm a big fan of them. Now people say, you know, I mean, I don't know. People are always hit and miss with them. Some people just gripe about them. They don't like, you know, they're like, oh, it didn't fit. It's all sloppy or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe knock on wood. Maybe because I bought so many that I've never really had a problem with any of them. These in particular I liked because they were just so different and unique. They were a throwback to like the old like an old Colt Trooper grip or something, because it comes around the back. They're fully checkered in the back, and then the front is checkered, and you can see the finish or the fit is great. I didn't have to alter them. It fits right around there, even around through the trigger guard. It's great. I thought they were just neat, and they're big. I like that. You know, I don't have big hands, but I like the way that feels. I mean, it's just, you know, and man, for a big 45 you know, caliber revolver, I wanted some really nice big grips on them, and those stocks are nice. And of course, they even go and put the emblem on it. So, you know, and I'm sure if those are original grips or something, those probably be like $300 or something. They just they've gotten too pricey for me. One of the ones that are really expensive is the end frame. Mostly it's the end frame, the ones that used to come on the Lou Horton guns. Lou Horton, when he did stuff like, I've got one, it's a 29-3. It's a snubby, or what I think is a snubby. It's a little short barrel. I mean, it's a 2.5 or 3 inch barrel or something like that. And it's got the round butt with the smooth finger grooved, what some people call the banana grip. And those, if you look at it, I mean, even when I bought that from the guy at a show, and he's a real hard case to deal with, because he doesn't budge on his prices. I mean, he may give you just a little bit, but that guy is so stiff. I got him from him, and I remember him telling me at the time, and I knew those grips were pricey. He's like telling me, he's like, man, those grips alone, just the grips alone, are $300. And yeah, I mean, he's right. There's no joke. Those grips have gotten stupid pricey. So, but yeah, we got some other revolver stuff coming up. We got some things, you know, some trading in the works and stuff like that. So keep on the lookout. We got some other stuff that we're doing, because you know, it's that time of the year when you start you know, buy some stuff for yourself and all that. So anyway, so we got some other things that we're gonna feature on the channel shortly here, as soon as we get to going with them and checking them out there in the thing. And speaking of which, before I forget, I picked up something, and I actually was trying to figure out, because I usually don't video these because they're so hard to video, but I picked up something, and it was only $2.99. Yeah, so and on Guns International and stuff, where I gauge a lot of things, Guns International, Gun Broker, these things have gotten expensive, and got myself a gallery gun. It's a nickel-plated gallery gun, of all things. That's why I really kind of got interested in it. It's a Rossi. It's not a Winchester. I had Winchesters, but the thing that I found out about them, which was, you know, they are true Winchesters, and that's the true to blue, you know, ones. But I like to shoot them. I like to. I don't like to just keep it in the safe and do what with it, you know. So I like to take them out and shoot them. And a lot of those Winchesters have been shot out. So I got into the Rossis, because the Rossis are made exactly like them. In some cases, you almost argue they might even be better. But some gunk or something out there. But no, I love these things. These are so cool. Now Rossi is actually, I think, remaking them now, but they don't look like this. They don't look like the old school style that they used to. So, and they take down. There's a little a screw right here, and they come apart. A little corn cob pump action there. And this one here is the, what is it? I think it's a 23-inch barrel. Now I've got one that's like a 16-inch, and it's real short. It's really awesome. Now the cool thing is, these things will shoot shorts, longs, long rifle, and that's kind of what this is. You know, actually, it was funny, as at work, I just had a customer that was asking. It came in a while. I got a pistol that shoots 22 longs. Okay, there is a difference. There's 22 short, 22 long rifle. It's as indicated on the barrel of my Rossi here, and that's a little known key fact. If you don't know what caliber your stuff is, it's usually printed on the barrel somewhere. 1911's on the barrel hood. It always surprises me sometimes. But anyway, no, this is really cool. The wood is in good shape. You know, I put some SC Johnson's wax on there. I might put some Ballistol or something else, something on there to keep it nice. I love that nice light colored wood. It's great. And the way you know about these is too, if you take them down, if you ever want to know if one of these that you're getting shoots the shorts or long rifles or whatnot, and how that works is on the mechanism here that is the cartridge carrier. You can see it there. Okay, see that thing that's bouncing up there, right there? Okay, that is a cartridge stop, and what that does is, as the round goes in there, it'll gauge the length of the casing or the whole round itself. It'll gauge that, and it'll operate right. I had one that wasn't, that I couldn't figure that out right away. I thought it would have shot anything, and I couldn't figure out why it was fouling up and jamming up, and it wouldn't work with shorter stuff. And come to find out, they need to have that cartridge stop. Now, some people have modified and altered and put ones in there. I didn't want to go through all that trouble, because you should be able to pick these things up fairly cheap. Well, you used to. And that's the other thing too. I never would have thought I would have got to that point where I was the guy saying that. Well, you used to be able to get those for that. I never and my friends that are a lot older than me, they have really, I've heard them say it forever since I've known them, and now I feel like I'm that guy, because man, it's like, I picked up a Smith & Wesson vintage, an old vintage Model 10 for like $375, and now I'm seeing those same ones in the stores, and they're like, since when did these jump to $900? Because you used to be able to pick them up for like, and okay, now when I remember now, that 10 years ago or whatever, you could, now if you paid $600 for a Smith or revolver, one of the K frames or something like that, like it was a good one. It was really good. It was pristine. Now $600 may get you one that looks like it's a little beat up. So that's crazy. I never would have. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so back to the grips. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm sure, my friend, if you're still watching. Okay. So, not to rehash from last week's episode, but during the 50s, Colt started to do grips like this, and they were phenolic resin type grips that were from World War II era. The World War II time, they started making grips known as, I guess, like some of them, the Keys grips. They look a lot like that. Okay, and that kind of carried on throughout their commercial line. And suddenly during the 50s, they must have ran out of old GI parts, because they started to remake their own. And their own was, just recreate them. And they're the same, only they had their logo on them, like a little rampant pony and whatnot. Okay, like these. And the thing that was interesting to me, that because I always remember seeing them around, I just didn't really know what the deal was with them. I always seen them around. Thought I had another pair here, but they had this marbling going through them. Every time I would see a pair of them. Now there are some pairs that don't. There are some sets out there that don't. That are just they're more of like just a straight up brown, like these. They're kind of just straight, like a brown color, like a dark brown, like those. Or a lot of them do have that kind of a marbling of an orange coloring going through them, like that. Actually, I like the ones here on this one's got a lot going on it here. You can see that a lot of orange streaks, and that's what they were looking like during that time. And a buddy, I was talking to my friend about it, and he said, he goes, you think about this, and of course he's older, so he says, this is the 50s. Plastics were really starting to get going. You think about that, and I said, yeah, you're right. The 50s, the plastics were really getting going. Tupperwares were starting to come out, things like that. So that's why I always found the 50s were just cool as hell, because they're just, it was like just a psychedelic, like space age stuff. I mean, look at the movies that are coming out: Tarantula, Wasp Woman, all this crazy stuff. So, you know, plastics, and it was just a year of just innovation, like what, you know, just like what are they're creating. So part of it was these grips, you know, that these grips were coming out, you know, plastic, you know, whatever, and that's kind of the term they use, like, oh, they're plastic grip, you know, so to kind of make it sound derogatory or whatnot. But a lot of it is it's actually got its place. A lot of it does serve its place. So we got to thinking about and talking about this, and I said, you know, I said to him, why do you think they looked the way they did? Why were they marbled like that? Why did they have these streaks and orange markings and stuff going through it? I never understood that. Were they trying to simulate wood? You know, were they trying to get something to look like an old wood grip? Here's an old wood grip from a Mark II Ruger. Were they trying to do that in a sense with the plastic or the resin that they were doing? And now also the thing to remember when you buy the old grips like this, to keep in mind this, you know, before you go paying a whole lot of money for it, and if you're gonna use it on a gun or something, they shrunk. These things a lot of times shrunk down, and they may not fit your 1911 anymore. They're too old. The material just didn't hold up. It really didn't. So they shrunk. And I've seen some like that in a gun show where the guy who had some, they were selling them, and I think they were like $40 or $50. In hindsight, I should have bought them, but I didn't, because the thing looked like a strip of bacon. You know, when it just kind of was curling up already. They were in bad shape, and you could tell, like I could even tell they look smaller, and I'm like, I don't know if that's going to fit anymore. And you know, he said, well, he goes, you're welcome to take them and go try them on a gun, you know. And I didn't have a gun with me at the time. Or he says, well, go to another table and see. Though I said, I don't think they're going to let me take grips off and put another set of grips on. Hey, can I just borrow your? So anyway, I mean, they may have. You'd be surprised if somebody asked me that. I probably would have done it for them. But anyway, but you know, so we started talking about that, you know, and some of the other ones, like, you know, so we started talking about the marbling in some of these grips here, and he goes, you know, and he tells me, he goes, you know what, man, he goes, it's like they were mixing this stuff up in buckets. It's like, yeah, you know, he's like, so it's like the guy's sitting there with one of those drills and he's just stirring the stuff up, and he's like, hey, we need some more material here. And the guy goes, well, all I got is left of this stuff. He goes, well, give me what's in that can there and throw it. He goes, all right, Bob, bring over that stuff here and throw it in there, mixing it up. You know, the guy takes his lunch break and they're pouring out grips, and he goes, they take their lunch break, guy comes back up, stirring up another bucket. Hey, what, we still have another bucket over there. Well, mix that in with this one. So that's kind of what we were talking about them making, you know, why these grips are all weird and all over the place. I mean, because you literally got some that are like cocoa brown to just straight, like some of them are just straight up orange. Some of them have more orange or less orange, and the variation of colors is all over the place. The unique part about that is no set is alike, and it seems that the more you know, marbling and strange streaks it's got going through it, the more money they cost. So, but no, we were having a heck of a time talking about that. We were like, you know, what is up with that? It's like, it just seems like, you know, that's my buddy for you. That's how he's, you know, just coming up with that. You know, maybe it was just them stirring stuff up in buckets, and gosh, you know, that is probably so true too, in a way that's like, you know, that I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. You know, they're doing something like that. So anyway, also, you know, and that led me to doing my grips. And that's what it is. That's, you know, cause somebody's probably thinking, well, you certainly bought enough of them. Well, I make them. So I got to actually making my own. I looked at how they were doing it and thought about it, and already, you know, I was making single action grips or John Wayne stuff and doing that, so I figured I'd try my hand. I always wanted to make 1911 grips, and not to toot my own horn, but most of all my 1911s actually are outfitted with my own grips now. I don't really buy grips anymore for 1911s unless it's just something I want to copy or pattern, but and I'm just doing it for myself, you know. These are the Harrods style D45 grips that, from my knowledge, they don't even do anymore. I contacted them years ago trying to get a set from them, and they said no, they don't do them anymore or whatnot. So, which kind of triggered me to start making them, and I did. This is actually more along the lines of ones you see from them. This is just a little bit of a different color scheme. These are the you know, the brown background with the darker diamonds. I got that idea actually from the movie Out for Justice, Steven Seagal. We got the idea from that because that's actually what he's got on his. So I was thinking, how do I do that? So I started thinking about it, and I said, oh, that's how I got the idea. Now I know how to do it. So, but anyway, no, you know, that's it. I just, you know, and then we used to sell the grips on eBay, and I get questioned a lot, you know, how come you don't sell them, or you just don't? We did, but what was happening was we were getting taxed to death on this stuff, and in the end, it was like I didn't want to start messing with my taxes and stuff at the end of the year and doing all that. So that's kind of why I did. If I ever figure out some way to set it up again or do something like that, trust me, you guys will be the first to know. Maybe we'll just do a limited run and keep under a threshold or something like that. And mainly the main goal is to just be able to share this stuff with everybody, and also help me pay for the materials to continue doing it, but out there. And if we do it again, you'll have to scare it under the threshold of a certain dollar amount so we don't get taxed. And like I said, if we do end up doing this, you'll be the first to know. So, and again, it will be very limited on what there's out there. So, and those of you that did buy them, thank you. I hope you appreciate. I hope you like them. I appreciate you buying them. I hope they serve you well. So, and one thing I did try to do was when I made them, I started to try to avoid them breakage wise. I didn't want to have them brittle, so actually they do most of them they do have some give to them. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a good weekend, Saturday morning. Thanks for spending it right here on the channel, and we'll see you next time. For today's video, this is what we had brought out, the Smith & Wesson Model 25 with a 4-inch barrel, a vintage one, nice, beautiful. Not a recess cylinder because it's not Magnum, but it does have the pin through the barrel. Of course, the Colt Classic made an appearance again, not to rehash things from last week, but we were talking about the grips and just had to talk about that with my buddy. And and then of course the T-Sauce, which you guys seen recently in a video. And and also I brought out a little box of those. I forgot to mention, those are really fun to shoot in your pump action.